Well, hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam, thanks for hanging out with me again today. And on today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a new to me, radio from Radiolink. Now, Radiolink has sent this over for me to review and show you guys the features of it. And they've sent along some extra goodies as well to go along with this. We'll get to that in just a minute. But what is it? This is their Radiolink RC8X radio. And I have to say, this thing is a slick radio. Full computer radio. Right now I think it holds 100 models. If you upgrade, enlarge the SD card that's in here, I think it's got a 32 gig in there. If you upgrade it to a 64, you can hold 200 models on the one radio. Really, really nice. Comes in this great carrying case. Has a, that kind of pick and place perfect slot for the radio. Then it has the top pad, so it's padded all the way around in the case. Now, it does come with a little accessory pack. In the accessory pack, you get a AA battery holder. Now, why isn't this in the radio? Well, the radio comes with a LiPo battery in it, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute as well. You get a lanyard. I don't typically wear a lanyard, but with this radio, I may. A lot of my other radios, they're $100, $150 radios. This one is a little bit more expensive, so I may actually wear the lanyard more often with this one just to make sure this doesn't hit the dirt and damage that really big, nice touchscreen. You get a in-betweener, is what I'm calling it. Basically, this is an in-between plug that will go between your battery and your ESC, and it will allow you to plug this into the telemetry port on the receiver, and it will actually give you battery feedback on your radio. So that's pretty neat. Normally that's something, proprietary, garbled and gook with Spectrum and their smart battery technology. But this, you can run dumb batteries and get feedback. You get a USB cable. Now, the cable is not for charging. The cable is for firmware updates and stuff like that. Data transfer. But you're not charging it through here. You're actually going to take the LiPo battery out, charge that on your regular charger. It's not really designed to be charged through the USB port in here. So you have a larger size trigger slash spare. So if you want to get a larger trigger, you can swap this out for, it's, a little bit longer. Just gives you more room, but gives you the Allen keys and everything in there. So that's the accessory pack. There was one other thing in the accessory pack, and I've already put it on. They give you a screen protector for the glass. Now, it does have the little, satisfying peel protector on it. So you want to peel that off and then actually put the hard screen protector on here, because this is all touchscreen, so you don't want to get, even if you plan on babying this, you're still going to scratch and scuff it up by touching it and swiping and doing all that stuff. So put the screen protector on. Also with the case, you get a set of straps for the case. So, if you're carrying a car, 2 cars, whatever, 3 cars with you, you can carry the cars and just kind of throw this whole bag over your shoulder. So you have your instruction manual. It's dual language. So it has a lot of information on how to set it up, how to program it, tips and tricks and troubleshooting that will help you out getting going with the radio. Also included with the radio are 2 receivers. Now you get the R8FG, which is an 8-channel receiver with gyro. So their FG series are, the gyros. The F series alone is their ones without the gyro. Funny enough, there's not a whole lot of difference between them. There's usually like a $3, $5 difference between the non-gyro and the gyro version. So not a huge difference. But this one, you can really throw a bunch of stuff on here. Me, I'm driving cars and trucks around, so I could have lights and winches and, whatever I want and pile as much on here as I possibly could. I'd probably still have free channels. Now, it does have the long dual lead antennas, so this is a long range radio. This would have been perfect for the speedrun cars with the gyro and the extended range of the dual antennas, but hey, I didn't get it until after the speedruns are pretty much wrapped up. Oh well. And then you also get the RFGM, which is their micro receiver. And I mean, by micro, it is tiny. This is half the size of a normal board receiver, and 4 channels. So normally if you got something this small, you're probably 2, maybe 3 channels. But we have 4 channels, and you know, this thing is teeny tiny. Now these are, you know, water resistant. They're, I can't remember, the ICX6 something another. They're like splash resistant. They're not meant for submersion, but they do have a like conformal coating on them, so they should be safe for getting a little bit of moisture and stuff on it, but you don't want to go submarine in your truck with one. So this is going to be great for, you know, something along the lines of upgrading small trucks, small cars, you know, micro Bs, micro Ts, all those things. When you're upgrading those, getting away from the 2-in-1s, you know, you can put something like this in anything and save a whole lot of real estate. Plus, if you were putting like full interiors and engine compartments in things, you know, you're trying to get rid of as much stuff as possible. So going with something that tiny is kind of perfect. I've kind of rambled on a bunch. Let me get the camera on the overhead and I'll actually kind of walk you through some of the settings and show you the actual radio screen, so you guys can see the radio up close. I'll show you all the dials, buttons, ding dongs, doodads, and bells and whistles. There's a lot going on with this thing. All right, let's look at the outside of the radio real quick. So you've got buttons and switches all over the place. So you have a dial up front. This is already kind of preset for your gyro. So if you have a receiver with a gyro enabled, this is going to be to set your sensitivity on the gyro. Then you have another button back here that you can assign that's a big long sweep. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different DT buttons. So the nice thing with these is you can, you know, up, down, and then if you are adjusting your steering, so you have your steering up here and you're going up, 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 and then you realize, oh crap, I went the wrong way. You can actually press the center of the button down and it'll zero it back to the default, and then you can start going the other way. You have another switch down here, which is just like a momentary switch. Well, you can set it up to be anything, but it's basically like an on-off. And that one's really nice because it fits right there underneath the steering wheel, nice and tight. So at any point, you can just kind of press that with your finger, and it's really, really convenient. You have another switch here and here, which are also mirrored here and here, so you can basically undo the radio and convert this over to left hand. So your switches will be the same over here, and then all this will move over here, all this will move over here. But thankfully, I'm right-handed. I don't have to rebuild the entire radio. You have another button back here, which again, if you're doing something and you're really, really concentrating, you can basically just pull the radio in and press this up against your chest, or if you're big like I am, your belly, and press that button. So say if you need like an override for steering or something, or you need to, you know, winch in or something like that, you can press this button and, you know, do what you need to do with it without taking your hands off the steering or the throttle and the brakes. Now, throttle and brakes, these are adjustable, so you have screws in here that can adjust your tension on your trigger here to lighten it or firm it up. It's got a nice firm pull on it now, and you know, it's very comfortable for me. And the secondary triggers, so you have your, you know, throttle and then brake reverse, you know, that's a nice opening size for me. But if you do have big fingers or you want a longer slot in there, you can replace this section here and be able to open that hole up a little bit better. Now you got your lanyard strap here. Now the one thing I want to mention about the battery, you do get your LiPo battery. I think it's like a 2000 milliamp. We can pop it out real quick and see. 1700 milliamp. The problem is those little chunks of foam are not included with the radio. And so far, that is the only downfall I have found from this radio. It sounds broken. You know, I thought when I pulled it out of the box, I was like, oh crap, it's broken. But it's literally that battery flopping around. So I just took some scrap foam and cut it to fit in the slot. So now the battery is nice and tight in there. Can't wiggle around. And, you know, any kind of foam will work. You know, just packaging foam, anything, you know, technically you could, you know, throw some packaging peanuts in there, you know, it just shuts it up. So that is something they should look to do, is just include like a little L-shape corner piece of foam just to shove that battery over in one corner so it's not clanging around. On here you have a headphone port, so if you want to have headphones while you're driving so you can hear what the radio is, because it has audible warnings on it, you can have your headphones hooked up. This is your USB port. You just have a big,
welcome to Radiolink.
So you have a big button back here, you press and hold. You have little LED lights, which, you know, they're not really showing up super bright here, but the side strips light up when it's on. So that way, if you just have it sitting off to the side over here, you can look over and these things will be glowing and you'll be like, oh crap, I didn't turn my radio off. So this is your main screen. And you know, sorry if it wiggles and woggles a little bit. I'm just kind of trying to brace it the best I can. So you have channel 1 through 8, and it tells you exactly what is going on. So channel 4 is that little tiny push button on the side. So it's 100% one way, 100% the other way. And then your gyro control, we had that turned up. This channel 3 back here was turned up, so you can reset that down to say 0. Steering, channel 1, you get your full throws, and then channel 2, your throttle and reverse. So you can quickly look down to make sure that, you know, what do I have that set to? Did I set that to 80% or am I hitting 100? And again, you can adjust your steering trim by moving these forwards and backwards. But like I said, if you moved it a whole bunch in one direction and realized, oh crap, that's the wrong way, you push on it and it zeroes it back. So we go all the way up to, you know, 30, 40 something, and then back to 0, and then you can go in the other direction immediately and then quickly zero it back out. Channel 4 and channel 5 are down on the stick. Or I'm sorry, that's channel 7. And then the one on the back of the radio back here is channel 6. So, you know, a whole lot of stuff that you can, you know, click and control right here without really having to move your hands much at all. Like I said, this one back here is really easy to basically just push right into your chest or your belly. And then everything else up here is, you know, right in perfect reach between your thumbs and your steering controls here. Everything on here is push button or touchscreen, so it's really easy to navigate through. So in this is your main menu. So the menu is a long scrolling screen, and basically it has jump points on the side to take you to all the different settings. So like right here, I've got 2 cars in here right now. I've got a DTO2 and I've got a Sand Viper that are programmed in here that'll be my test subjects. But if we go back up to the top, you've got, you know, your basic menu, so you can do your channel reverse, your endpoint adjustments, your sub trims, you know, everything you're going to use when you're setting up your car for the first time. And your main menu is more of the radio settings. So you have like themes, so you can set, you know, blue screen, a red screen, a green screen, and then you can customize them to look what you want. So your font can be blue, you can have the screen and yellow, green, and your background in black, or whatever you want. So I kind of like the, you know, factory kind of blue and gray. It's appealing, and it's not like overly bright. The screen, the camera is actually brightening this up a lot. It's about half as bright looking in person, which is still plenty easy to see. I'm not saying that it's dim, it's just the camera is brightening up all the colors a lot. So you have your telemetry settings, you have your racing menu, so you can set your steering, throttle, brake curve, your acceleration, your steering delay, cruise control. So if you want to set a button on here to set cruise control, you can set the cruise control to say, you know, 20% throttle, and then all you have to do is hit that button, say channel 6 or whatever, and that's going to say, okay, we're enabling cruise control, and your trail truck is just going to cruise along at your desired walking pace or whatever, so you don't have to sit there and hold the trigger. You can just sit there and steer. It's got traction control, ABS, your motor startup, all the, it is just tons and tons of features, all sorts of steering, brake, gyro mixing, 4-wheel drive, steering mixing, dual ESC mixing, It's just amazing on what you can do. Tank mixing, so it will show you, left is channel 1, right is channel 2, forward 100% is both, right, left, blah, blah, blah. You can take screenshots. So if you have telemetry up and you want to take a screenshot, you can set your screenshot settings. You have a timer setting, your rollout chart, which if you know your pinion, your spur, your tire diameter, blah, 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 or all that stuff, you can figure out all that. Yeah, that's not my speed. They also have a gear ratio chart. So pinion, spur, second gear ratio, if you have one, and it helps you figure out your, gear ratios. And like I said, you have your model selection here. So right now I only have the 2, but if you had, tons in here, it would just be page after page after page of models in here. And then you have what is actually on your SD card. So if you had screenshots, you can go back and look. You can put different sounds on and all that good stuff. So there is a lot of features in here. I've just barely scratched the surface with this thing, and that was just setting up some of the cars. So one of the things is I didn't want to use the 8-channel for just a 2-wheel drive buggy. It was going to be overkill for doing that much. And I didn't want to use the little mini one because, I don't want to try to keep that in a car that's, got more than enough room. So I actually went out and bought some of the RS6 FG receivers. Now, when I went to bind it, I was having an issue binding. So when you get the receiver, it actually has the instructions in here for all the generic stuff of how to bind and all that stuff. And then it actually gives you so you have your binding steps right here. And then, if you're using the RC8X transmitter, you may have to go in and change your settings. So in the in the receiver settings, so your second step down, if you go to receiver settings, there is the FHSS-V1 and FHSS-V2. It was set default to 2 when you're programming a new car, and for these I had to put it in the V1 and it bound right away. So just something to note if you get one of these and all of a sudden you can't bind your receiver and you're like, what is going on? That is, what is going on. So again, on your main screen, you have a ton of information. So it tells you what your keys are programmed to. So DT1 is your steering trim, so that's up here. DT2 is your throttle trim. DT3 is your ratio switch. DT4 is your rear brake rate. And then DL1 is your gyro gain. And you can see it is adjusted. So right now it's at 50%. And then we can go all the way up to the 100. And then we can back it back down all the way down to 0. You have your telemetry here. So right now we don't have anything, but when you are running, you'll have your receiver voltage. You can have your external voltage if you're using the little jumper pack, and the RSSI. I don't remember exactly what that is. Forgive me for that one. You have your timer built right into the screen, and I like this because on my other radios, there's a button to hit for the timer, and it's on the radio and it's defaulted to one of the buttons. And I always hit it by mistake, and next thing you know, my radio's beeping at me and distracting me. This one, it's right on the screen. You touch it, you stop it. You touch it again, it resets. You touch it, it goes. You touch it, it stops. You touch it again, it resets. It's super, super, super nice. You have what model it is up here. You have your battery voltage for the radio, and then you have your, you're on the home screen. And then again, you go back in here and you can jump around to any, and it tells you up here, you're in the telemetry screen, you're in the mixing setting screen, you're in the system setting screen, back, you're in the home screen. So, it takes a very, very complicated radio and makes it very, very simple to use. I'm very impressed with the layout of everything. It feels super nice. And, it just seems like it's going to be a very, very nice radio. So I'm going to turn this guy off, and we're going to hop back out and we'll wrap this up. So that is the radio up close. Now, who is this radio for? Well, this radio is for, well, not for everybody. I would suggest this radio to go out, if you've got 1 or 2 cars and you're just getting into RC. Should you go out and buy this radio? I mean, if you've got the money, sure, go out and get one. You won't need another one. But, if you only have a few cars, this probably isn't the radio for you. This is more of the radio for a person that has 7, 8, 10, 12, 100 of cars that, having a pile of radios is just too much. Now, years ago, I went away from ready-to-run radios, and I started putting them on this DX. This is a DX3R Spectrum radio. Well, once I started buying this, I had a bunch of Spectrum receivers, so I went ahead. This one got full, so I picked up a DX5C. And then that got full, and I picked up a DX5 Rugged, and then that got full. Now I'm on a DX6C, and this is almost full. I could put everything on these radios on this one radio. So I'm not going to lie and say that that's the best solution. There are drawbacks to putting everything you own on one radio. This thing falls into a well, and you've now bricked all your cars. You don't have anything to run it with. But the good thing is, most people aren't going to be like all of a sudden come into a huge pile of cars and be like, I don't know what to do. You slowly grow into these things. And I think most people that are looking for a high-end radio that has a lot of features that you can adjust 6 ways to Sunday for racing, crawling, bashing, antiques, whatever. This radio will allow you to fine-tune everything you could possibly want for any of those scenarios. This has a lot more features than my other radios do. So I think I'm going to slowly start, basically all my new stuff is going to go on this one. Like I said, the Spectrum one is almost full. I think I've got like 4 slots left on that. And the receivers don't cost much more for this than the really cheap knockoff ones I'm getting from China, and none of those have a gyro in it. So I'm paying like 14, 15 bucks a piece for those, 16, 17 bucks a piece for this with a gyro in it. So I'm getting a better receiver, a faster rate radio with a whole lot more tunability. I can tune my crawlers to this. I can tune, the race truck to this. This is one that I have on the Spectrum right now, and I'm going to put the 6 gyro in this and get that on this radio. That way I have a lot more tunability with this, with the braking. It has the ABS, it has the all that stuff that my other ones don't. So I'm going to be able to tune this truck a whole lot easier with this radio than my other one. So like I said, there are tons of pros and cons about it, and you have to weigh your own options. Is it right for you? But the other thing that they sent along with this, and this is 1,000,000% new to me, they sent along their FPV module and the FPV camera. So obviously I haven't used this yet because it's all still in the package. But basically, this is your receiver. Your little antenna goes on here. And then this somehow mounts to this with, wires and such. Like I said, I haven't even messed with this yet. Trying to get my head wrapped around this and get everything ready. So you have the whole FPV receiver set up, and then you have the little tiny FPV camera, which this thing is teeny tiny guy. That's it. This little itty bitty guy. And so the reason they sent this, and I was kind of amazed that this even has it. This has an FPV mode in it. So normally when you do FPV, you have the big goggles on, or you have your computer set up with a monitor and you're watching it drive on the screen. This, on the main screen, it will block off the bottom half of the screen in FPV mode, and you're actually driving, watching the car on the radio. So I could literally sit on my front porch, drive this around in the front yard, line of sight, and then hang a left, go around, drive behind the house, and then I could actually drive behind my house through watching the screen. So that is one thing we're going to do. So this is going to end up being a 3-part series. This is just your first intro to the radio, what it is, how it came about, what the features are, kind of, a quick rundown of that. The second video is I'm actually going to take out 2 different cars that are very similar-ish. So we have 2 DTO2s. Now, don't have the same tires and all that stuff on there. And, they're set up just a little bit different. This has hard body, this has plastic body. But, 2 basically similar cars. And we're going to take them out to the track and drive them. Now, this has the... I think this has the 4F receiver. And this has the 6FG receiver. So this is gyro free. This will have the gyro in it to be able to dial up the gyro and actually drive this one around on the track alongside. Well, obviously can't drive them alongside. I've only got 1 radio and only 2 hands and not enough brain power to drive both at the same time. But we'll drive this one, then we'll drive this one and kind of compare them. Now again, they're not apples to apples, different tires, slightly different setups, same motors. Now this has got a sport tune, this has got a torque tuned. Again, it's not 100% apples to apples, but it'll give you an idea, if this one is swerving and slinging and sliding all over the place, and this one is tracking super great, it's showing that the gyro is working. I have never actually ran other than the Losi Pro Moto that has like 19 different gyros in it, I've never run anything with an actual gyro in it. So having that in the radio is going to be pretty cool. So part 1, just the overall intro to the radio, all the different features, the bells and whistles of the radio itself, and then we'll move into part 2, which is going to be running these head to head, and then part 3 will be with the FPV, and I'll probably put that on something like either the high lift up there, or something like a rock crawler. I don't know, probably be something, a big truck or something. That way I can just run it wherever I want to, and it can be out of line of sight, and I don't have to worry about hitting rocks and stuff like that. And we'll just, rock it around and see how well the little FPV screen works on it. So I know this was an awful lot of info for you guys. I will leave links down below to both where you can find one of these, as well as Radiolink's website. So it has all the information on there. It'll have all the list of all the Radiolink receivers that are compatible with this as it sits, and then all the different features and comparison of those receivers for stuff that'll suit your needs. So anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I know it was a whole lot of talking and technical stuff, which is not normally in my wheelhouse. I'm not that technical, but I am super excited about this. I think this is going to be a great addition, and take up a lot less shelf space than keep adding more radios and more radios and more radios. Anyway guys, everybody out there, you guys be happy, be healthy, be safe, and I will catch you on the next one. See you guys.